Welcome to Love You a Brunch, the podcast for foodies and those who'd rather be brunching. Hi, I'm Jody Stapler. Okay, I am speaking with Kathy Strahs today. She is the creator of the blog PaniniHappy.com, which is actually a Babbel, one of their top 100 mom food blogs, and that's been like for 4 years, right?
It was for 4 years, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you are the author of a new cookbook, The Best of the Best Panini Press Cookbook. And it has over 100 recipes. And I kind of want to first get to know you. I like in the beginning of your book, you actually mentioned that how you kind of got started in food. You actually went to school and have an MBA and was a marketer. So how
Right.
did you get into this whole world of food?
Sometimes you just have to go with with what happens in life. I had just had my first daughter, and I was going to be taking a little bit of time off to take care of her. And around that same time, Oprah had, she still has her favorite list of favorite things that comes out every
Right.
November or so. And so that year, which was 2007, she had a panini press on there. And she's had
Okay.
it on there many years. I don't know if that was the first year or not, but I, for whatever reason, was very interested in this in this. And when Oprah says you should get something, of course you really pay attention.
Right.
And apparently, as people do, everybody paid attention, and they were sold out everywhere. And I really wanted one, and I had mentioned it to my sister, and so it turned out she ended up getting one for me that year for Christmas. And so when I received it, I was like, well, I better use this thing. This was very hard to get. And so,
Right.
but I wasn't quite sure what I would do with it, because I made that first sandwich and then I was like, okay, that's cool. Now what? And and this is actually, I've come to learn over the last 11 years that this is what happens with a lot of people, is they use it
Exactly.
once and then they're like, okay, that was fun. And then it goes back up in the closet and they never touch it again. But
Right.
I was trying to think, well, what could I do to encourage myself to make sure this doesn't start collecting dust in my closet? And, I had, like you said, I'd been a marketer before. I'd worked in online marketing, and I'd had some familiarity with blogs at that time. And I thought, well, what if I started a blog about my panini press? And I know that I'm not the only one who just got one of these, because they were sold out everywhere. So there are a lot of people who just got a panini press, and maybe they're in the same position I am, where they're wondering what to do with it. So what if I start a blog where I explore what this thing can do? So one day, without thinking it through too far ahead, I put up a post and decided on the name Panini Happy. And I was like, okay, I guess I have a blog now. And, as blogs go, things change from the first day you start. But, from the beginning, the goal was to see what this Panini press could do.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's honestly why I've never purchased one myself. That's one of the appliances I don't have in my house. My husband would probably like it because he's a sandwich guy.
Right.
I'm not really much of a bread person. So what can it do? Is it something that's, you know, someone who maybe doesn't like sandwiches so much, is it worth getting a panini press?
I would think so. So I have heard, now, of course, I went to college a little while ago, but I've heard that kids in college use a panini press now in place of having a stove or other sort of
Mm,
kitchen. Because really, when you think about it, it's just uh, two heat sources. There's a heat source on top and the heat source on the bottom. So whatever you want to put in there, you can put a sandwich in there, but it could also just be a piece of chicken, or it could
yeah,
be, I've even done a pan of brownies just to see if you could do it. Just
yeah.
really all you need. And I definitely used ramekins a lot with the panini press, but there are certain things I think it is better for than the traditional way. And quesadillas is one of them, because I don't know about you, but I am not that great at flipping a quesadilla, especially if it's
Right.
got more than just cheese in it. And if I can just stick it between the two heating sources, close the thing, it's getting cooked from both sides. It does not need to be flipped. So
Yeah.
that is,
You're talking me into it, to be honest with you, because I do
yeah,
love tortillas. And you
yeah.
could even actually, I'm thinking about it, you could probably make your own tortillas this way and it'd be a lot easier.
You could. Steaks are very, I mean, it's very much like a George Foreman grill. A lot of people will use a George Foreman grill like a panini press because it's the same
Okay.
situation with the heat coming from both sides. So I say pretty much anything that you want to cook relatively quickly, and I guess ideally it's something that holds itself together, which is why I mentioned like a steak or a chicken
Yeah.
or quesadilla. PC things are a little harder, but you could still do it. I roast vegetables, but anything that you want to cook from top and bottom at the same time and get those nice grill marks can go in a panini press.
Very good. Yeah, actually, yeah. Now I'm sitting here going, and my son's in his first year of college, and my second son moves to college next year. I'm thinking,
They need panini presses.
right? This would be great for
Maybe they
them.
already have
So,
one. Who knows?
yeah. So how do I know which ones do you recommend? What are the best ones to get? Are there good ones? I mean,
Yeah,
or are they just,
there's variation. The ones the one that I used the very most often was the one that Oprah had recommended, which was the Breville.
Okay.
I don't know, I've had mine for a number of years, so I don't know if the ones that they sell today have exactly the same features. But one thing that I loved about that one is that you could set a specific temperature, which was nice because a lot of them will say like high, medium, low, and who knows what that means,
Right,
but if you
right.
use it enough, you'll start to get to know your machine. But I liked that you could set specific temperatures. So I know what 400 is, or I know what 275 is. And then the particular feature that I liked on that one was that you could also adjust the height of the grill. So I talk about wanting to take advantage of the heat from the top and the bottom, but there are times when you might not want that upper grate to be touching the food. Like for instance, if you're cooking something that's open face, you might not want it to get
Mm,
your cheese all
right.
smashed on the top. I mean, and if you have a press that can hover, that you could set to, don't close all the way, but just leave about a 2-inch gap or whatever. It just creates even more opportunities.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you take care of it? How do you clean the panini press? Does it come apart? Like I know we do have a George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
So is it like that where they pop out and you can wash them separately, or is it something you just wipe down?
That is another one of those
So
key
that's really depending
differentiators
on what you
between,
get.
yeah. So the Breville that I had, it is, you cannot remove the plates.
Mm,
So you can buy like a little silicone brush to kind of get in there and in between the plates and, or in between the grates to get the cooked on food out. The Cuisinart does have removable plates. And another cool thing about that is that you could use different plates. So they'll sell
mm.
like a waffle plate. So all of a sudden your griddler can be a waffle maker as well.
Oh, nice.
One thing that I did notice that is a little kind of a nuancy difference, you may not notice unless you use both machines, which most people I know won't do. You'll have one or the other. But because the grates are removable, the heat doesn't get it quite as hot as the
Okay.
Breville. So
Gotcha.
it's if you can stand a little less convenience with cleanup, the heating ability of the solid state grill is a bit more preferable just to me. But a lot of
Yeah.
people love to be able to just remove those grates and stick them in the dishwasher. So I totally respect that.
Right, right. So your cookbook, I mean, the pictures look amazing. I love pictures in a cookbook. That is
Or-
honestly, to me, what makes a cookbook. I honestly won't even pick one up if it doesn't have pictures in it. I'm such a visual person. But the pictures look amazing. And you can go from breakfast, lunch, dinner, even to dessert on this panini press and things that I would never even consider that you could do in a panini press, which is why I never have purchased one. Um, Tell me some of like your family's favorite recipes.
Well, my children have become very interested in the Cubano panini for some reason. This has become their favorite, and I think it's because of the ingredients. My son loves mustard. My son is
Okay.
9, and
Okay.
he loves anything with mustard. It's got ham and cheese, and it has a layer of grilled pork, which I also make on the panini press before putting it in
Mm,
the sandwich. So um, that's probably their favorite one.
yeah. And that would, if you're making the pork on there first, that would actually give a lot of flavor to the bread because you're sitting it right onto
Yeah,
where the pork was, right?
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Not dirtying too
Nice.
many more pans in the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you really wanted to not have any dishes, you could use paper plates. So it's really just the one thing.
Right.
Nice. Okay. And so tell me something that, like, if I was going to use your cookbook to make something to impress someone that's coming over or take somewhere to impress someone, which recipe would you say would be the best?
Well, one thing I have done before, which so I could say you could do this with almost any recipe here, is just the real time grilling. So I have brought my panini press to a potluck before. And so, especially if you're bringing something hot, sometimes you're concerned about, oh, how am I going to serve this still warm? But if you're grilling real time, they're getting it hot off the press. So I would say it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
something you could do, any sandwich. And I would probably do something pretty simple if you're making things for a potluck where there's a lot of people, simpler grilled cheeses, but just the chance to have a grilled cheese and you cut them into smaller bites.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, that's definitely like it's like an experience.
yeah, it's like an
Yeah. Oh,
experience or
very
like
cool.
table side guacamole kind of thing. It's
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So that
Yeah.
makes it pretty special. Um, that would be my suggestion.
Okay. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. So how about some desserts? What
Well,
desserts do you like to make in here?
I like to. So when I made ice cream cones the first time, that was when I was in a particularly out of the box mode in the blog. And I was like, what really can this do? And, we were at an ice cream place and I watched as they were making their waffle cones and I'd actually never even thought about how our waffle cones made, but they're made like
Yeah.
waffles, except for they're really, really thin. And I was like, wait a minute, they're pressing it out just like I press on my panini press. And yeah, we won't have the crosshatch waffle imprint, but we will have the stripes. That's cool too. So I worked on that a bit, and that ended up being just a. You could actually add that to your list of things that might be impressive because most people would never expect you to
Right.
make your own ice cream cone.
Yeah, is that
But
in
it's
this
it's
cookbook?
um yes, I believe so.
That is awesome. I'm gonna definitely try that when I get because I'm gonna have
It's
to buy
fun.
this now, you know.
Well, yes,
I'm
and
gonna
a
have to
panini
buy a
press,
panini
right?
press
A
now.
couple for the boys. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm looking here and you have some really awesome things. You have cheddar and apple butter panini, um, with rosemary candied pecans, and that seems like something I would get like when I'm traveling and you go into a little cafe and it's something that I would never think that I could make at home. I don't know
Right.
why. It's or yeah, some awesome ones. Some Gruyere apples and fig preserves panini. Um, so really, it's not like you're just regular grilled cheese. This is like fancy
Right.
stuff.
Well,
Very good.
I think that we all could make a simple ham and cheese. I mean, you don't need a recipe to
Yeah,
say stick some cheese in the bread
right.
and close it. So I figure for a cookbook, perhaps we should come up with recipes that maybe one might not normally think of or they might not know how to make. So I figure
Yeah,
put recipes for things that you do need a recipe for.
right. And I
Yeah.
just turned to the page of caramel apple stuffed French toast. Oh, amazing. So
Yeah, that
tell
one.
me how you go about that. Do you make the apples and things, everything on the
In that
panini
case,
press?
the apples, no, just because that is you have to be a well. I do use sugar a little bit in some of the recipes, but sugars are one thing that can really start to get sticky when you go directly on the grill.
Yeah.
Um, so that one, uh, you got to use another pan, use a
Mm,
skillet. But the French toast, like the quesadillas, is another one of those things that you usually will have to flip, and you don't have to flip it if you make it in the panini press. So
right.
another
So
one
how
of
do you
those
stuff it?
benefits. You just cut a little slit and stick the apples and things on the inside. You sort of you start with a rather thick piece of bread, and you just cut a little
Okay.
slit down the side and push the apples on in there, and they
Yeah.
spill out. I mean, it's not like a complete like encapsulated sealed
Right.
thing, but it's so that when you take bites out of the French toast, you'll have bites of French toast as well as apples.
Yeah, it sounds delicious.
It is.
And then also, like I'm looking here, you have grilled pears with honey whipped Greek yogurt and toasted almonds. And that's again, I never even considered that you could just put the fruit in.
Yeah.
And why? I have no idea. Because when you think panini, you think bread.
Right.
So I didn't even consider that, but that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's just the nuance of, it's not a Panini cookbook, it's a Panini Press cookbook. So it takes you just beyond just sandwiches to what can you do with the press. I mean, half of it is sandwiches, but there are also many things that you can do with it
Yeah.
besides sandwiches.
Yeah, well, as I say on almost every podcast, I really am more of a sweet tooth person. So I shouldn't be, but I am. So I'm back here in the back here at the dessert section and like the grown up grilled banana splits and grilled apple turnovers, grilled angel food cake with lemon curd. I mean, they all sound amazing. How do you come up with your recipes to put in your cookbooks and on your
Well,
blog?
I usually just I think a lot about what I want to eat at that time. We
Yeah.
also, as a family, we do go out to eat a bit, not necessarily to fancy places, but we like to try restaurants. So as much as I like to cook, I would say I more like to eat. I love to cook, but I
Right.
really love to eat. So I love to eat out other places, and so sometimes we'll go to different ethnic foods. We'll just have food prepared by all kinds of people, and I get inspired by that. Sometimes I'll eat something. I remember we went to Hawaii, and we went to a place where they had done a grilled banana bread with a coconut
Mm.
sauce, and there was some other sauce on there. But I had never heard of a coconut sauce. I'm like, coconut sauce this is
Yeah.
amazing. And grilling the banana bread. And of course, once I
Right.
experienced that, I said, well, I can do that one. So I recreated that when I got home. So sometimes I'm just inspired by things that I've tried elsewhere. Other times it's just what sounds good to me, or if I'm sometimes I can be inspired by bread if I am in a particularly good bakery and I see some interesting bread. I think, oh, what would that be good with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely takes food up like another level when you put it on a panini press or like I said, I've never used one myself, but when we've been out and especially when we're traveling, we almost always get paninis somewhere. And it takes everything to another level.
Yeah, no, I think so. And maybe just because it takes a second, but
Yeah,
I
I
think,
don't know. There's something about it. It's the
yeah,
toasting of it and the heat. Yeah, it makes a sandwich like a plain sandwich seem special.
just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, like, does your husband have one specific recipe out of this cookbook that he would, that's the one he loves you to make for him?
No, and part of that is because I don't think he knows what he's had. So when I was when I was first writing the book, I would make a lot of sandwiches on, in a given day or week. And I would, have certain trials, and I would make them, photograph them and wrap them up, but I wouldn't label them. because it didn't really matter
Okay.
to me. I was just like, oh, I don't need to know what it.
Right.
I know what it is. It's already been documented. Blah, blah, blah. And so
Yeah.
he would get ready for work and open the fridge and just grab one or two. And then later I would receive a text like, wow,
Wow.
that one was so good. I think it was there like prosciutto in there? He did, he was having to kind of figure out. So he likes though, he just doesn't know which ones he's had. It was sort of
Yeah, yeah, very good. So he's not a picky person at all.
no, well, I mean, I would
He,
find out after the he
yeah.
doesn't love
Okay,
anything.
because I
Doesn't love
don't. My husband's
candy.
very particular, so he would be like, "What's on this? I don't want to
Oh,
eat it if there's certain things on it." So.
no, he's there are certain things that he he doesn't like, but he would just run straight into it and find out after the fact. Like, "Whoa, is that
Right.
mustard?"
Right. Yeah.
You'd think he'd check
Well,
first, but.
right, exactly, exactly. Well, my husband, if there's any onions on anything, that's immediately
Oh,
it's done. He's no onions,
oh,
so.
oh dear.
Yeah, it's hard. But the sandwiches in here look so delicious. Like there's a turkey cranberry and brie panini.
So,
That's to me seems like perfect fall weather food.
right,
And then you move into other things that seem perfect for like citrus marinated grilled chicken. To me, that's like summer food,
right,
summer picnic. And so it's a great cookbook to kind of use all throughout the year.
right.
Now
Yeah.
we're getting into this spring season and you like for instance you have one here high on the hog. This whole section is pork on the Panini Press. And so we're coming into spring. Ooh, I just found it actually. Grilled asparagus
I was gonna,
panini with
that's what I was
prosciutto and
thinking. Yep.
mozzarella.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that would be perfect for this spring when the asparagus is just starting to come up.
There's
Very
also one in
good.
there. I use strawberries sometimes, for where the dessert
Mm,
type ones. So,
yeah.
oh,
Oh, I love it. And then you can also do a pizza. I see. I didn't even think of that either. Pepperoni pizza panini. And this is something I could actually have my kid do.
right.
I have a 9-year-old daughter. She's my youngest. So same age as your son. Does your son make his own things on the Panini Press?
I wish he would, but no, he too. I think he likes eating more than he likes cooking. He does like to
Then
help, but
cooking. Yeah.
sometimes he seems to have realized that if he doesn't help, the food still comes anyway. So I think we need
Exactly.
we need to work on that a little bit.
Right, right. You'll get there. Wait
Yeah,
till, well, I say that, but my 19-year-old still will walk into the house from college and say, what will you make me to eat? So
right.
my
Yeah,
18-year-old, on the other hand, cooks all the time. So it really depends on the kid.
exactly.
Um, yeah. But how long did it take you to compile all these recipes together and make this book?
Well, so the original book, had over 200 recipes. So that was a full year. And,
Wow.
and at the time, my children were very young. I think they were 2 and 4. So, that was a
Mm,
challenging year. And, there's the finished dishes, but then some of the recipes have sub recipes. It's not a complicated book, but like you were saying, you kind of when you're making panini, you want to just elevate a little bit. So perhaps instead of
yeah.
just putting straight mayonnaise on it, we might mix a little something in mayonnaise. So there might be a little recipe for the spread or something like that. So, anyways, it starts to add up, and that took a full year, and as well as the photography.
Right. And you did you're a photographer as well. Is that correct?
Well, I photograph my books.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. So
Yeah,
you do this
yeah.
photography for your own books,
Yeah,
which is cool. Because the pictures are, like I said, they're awesome. I love to look at the pictures in a cookbook. To me, that's how I get, even when I'm going through trying to decide what I'm going to eat, I will almost always pick something from the picture and go, okay, yeah, that looks good. Everybody in the family will eat that. Let's do that.
yeah.
So you did a great job with that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. Where can everybody find your book?
Oh, it's Well, it's going to be out in a couple of weeks, so it's. But I
Okay.
guess by the
When
time
is
this
it
airs,
available?
March 5th, I believe. So maybe that's just in a week.
Okay. Yeah, it's coming up.
And yeah, it's everywhere: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, local bookstores. Um, it's wherever books are sold.
Okay. And where can they find you?
Me,
Yeah.
I these days I'm on social media. So Instagram is probably where I'm most active. It's at Kathy Strahs, with Kathy with a K, Strahs, Strahs.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you have your Panini Happy blog, which is paninihappy.com.
correct.
And are you planning on doing any book signings or anything like that?
Probably. I can't say for sure at this time, but that's in the plan.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for talking with me today and telling me about this cookbook. And to be honest, you really have convinced me that I need to get a Panini Press, not only
Good,
for
good,
myself,
good.
but for my children. And I'm actually thinking, like, I'm sitting here going, oh, you know what? That would be a great present for my son's girlfriend because she's in college as well. And, so
You really
they,
should get them their
you
own,
know,
because otherwise yours may walk out the door with them to college. So
right? Exactly. Exactly. So,
awesome.
anything else you want to tell anybody before we go?
Um, just that it's a really fun device if you have one and it's been sitting up in the closet for the last 10 to 15 years. Take it down and use it. It can do more than your ham and cheese sandwich.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you.
I want to thank Kathy Strahs for joining me today and telling me all about the Panini Press, as well as her cookbook, The Best of the Best Panini Press Cookbook. Make sure you check her out at kathystrahs.com and paninihappy.com. I also want to thank you for joining me today. Please make sure, if you like our podcast, to subscribe wherever you're listening, and join us on our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter, and share us with your family and friends. If you appreciate our podcasts, books, music, and our goal of helping others fulfill their artistic career dreams, and would like to see it continue for many years to come, please join our Patreon and become a sponsor at Willow Moon Publishing. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment or email me at loveyouabrunchpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much again. I'm Jody Stapler, and join us next week on Love You a Brunch.